There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. We are live and welcome to the absolute best part of your week, the moment you've been waiting for, the time that makes everything better. For the next 30 ish minutes, you're in the right place at the right time for the insights, transformations, and breakthroughs that set you apart. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's make this the highlight of your week starting now. Let me bring on my co yeah, I don't know what the hell you call it. Ricky, here you are, and like
How you
magic
doing?
you appeared. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Really good. All right, let's jump in, and I want to talk about trust this week. So, if you are coming on to do some role plays, you can see the URL. Let me just tell you a couple of things. So, in our group, No Pain Sales, there are 7 lessons that you can take advantage of that will absolutely help you to understand this process a little bit better. Um, so, by all means, jump into the group, make sure you give us your information, agree to answer the questions, agree to the terms so we can let you in, and away we go. All right. With that said, if you're coming to interact, just jump on. So you can find that link in our group, and you'll see it right here as well. So if you want to jump on and have us demonstrate with you, we'll be happy to. In the meantime, I want to talk about trust and rapport. What I'm going to say to you today may blow your mind a little bit because I'm kind of aiming this at NLP trained people, which, quite frankly, a lot of, or I should say, a good amount of high ticket salespeople have had some training in it. So, the first obligatory thing that all NLP type sales training does is talk about rapport. And rapport is defined as that thing that you do that establishes liking. Okay. I really want to interrupt your thinking about this. I really want you to think twice and 3 times about ever using any old fashioned rapport technique. I've always taught that rapport is a double edged sword, and it's just as likely to cut you as it is the person you're talking to. Why? Well, with rapport skills, you're firing off um, mirror neurons. Now, that sounds like a good thing. It sounds like it would be really useful. And to some extent, it is. The problem is, I do not define what you should be doing in high ticket sales as making people like you. What we're really going for is trust. Burn that into your mind. It's all about trust. It has nothing to do with making people like you. I don't care if anybody doesn't like me. What I care is if they trust me. Now, generally, people will trust you if they like you, but not always. It doesn't necessarily rise to that level. I'll tell you in a minute how to do that. But first of all, I want to talk about where this came from. Back in the beginning of NLP, they noticed that when people did what other people do, in other words, pace their movements, and by the way, some people who don't know any better will say pacing or mirroring and matching. No, you can only mirror or match at the same time. You can't do both. All right. So where they started to figure this out is on the dance floor, believe it or not. So they found people that were out on the dance floor, they were dancing, and one person moves towards the other and they move back. The person moves forward, the other moves back. The other moves to one side, the other moves to that side too, like this. It was kind of a choreographed thing. Okay. And so they trained some researchers and they said, just dance like they do, move like they do. Let's see what happens. The net result was really impressive. Lots of people secured dates and that kind of thing, but the overall reaction to it was very positive. Now, that's all fine and good, but NLP started as a therapeutic discipline, and 99% of everyone, unless they're students of mine, don't understand that that means there's lots of discrepancies. That means it doesn't really apply. For example, I can't tell you if I'm talking to you in business, I want you to sit down, close your eyes, go into a deep trance, and I'm going to talk with your unconscious about why you should buy this program. Now, I can't do that. It'd be great if I could, you know, but most people go, cut it out, man. What are you doing? Okay, well, rapport is one of those things. So, what the hell do you do instead? Let me tell you, it's a matter of two things. It's framing, and not the BS old fashioned way of starting a conversation like this and saying, there's still big advisors that do this. Shame on you if you're one of them. Shame on you. Grow up. And that is, they'll say, well, let me tell you how this conversation is going to go. First, I'm going to get to know you a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you in detail about how our program works. And by the time we finish this call, I'm going to ask you to make a decision. Either yay or nay, either way is absolutely fine. Does that sound fair enough? No, it's not fair enough. You're badgering the client. You're pushing them. You're beating them up. You're being high pressure. And of course, they're not going to like it. Of course, they're not. The hell is the matter with you? We don't ever push clients or beat them up like that or use high pressure sales tactics. And yet the results we get are off the charts. And by the way, just go to our site, thepersuasionacademy.com, and look at all the testimonials that are rolling across the screen from people that are a part of our program. It'll knock your socks off. Please go, at least after the call. All right. So, Ricky, let me talk about two things that are needed to gain immediate, instant trust. Yep. Frame, set the frame. And second, authority. Do you have any doubt when I'm talking that I'm the authority?
Not at all.
And yet I don't have to be pushy about it. I don't have to say, let me tell you how the call's going to go. I don't have to do any of that. Mm-hmm. All I have to do is be so good at what I do, it just oozes out of me.
Yep.
All right. So there's some strategies of doing it. We talk about that in our program. But these are the two things that will engage immediate, and I mean immediate, trust. You have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I know ever since I've started implementing, what I've been learning from you on my sales calls, like people like resistance just kind of go away. Whenever you do have that authority, whenever you do have the frame set properly, I mean, it just really opens up the call for people to generally open up to you and, express what they really want in life.
Yes. And by the way, there are other frames I don't agree with either. Well, it's right at 10 a.m. You are right on time. That's great. Oh, you're late. I don't tolerate that. I'm out. I mean, this kind of frame stuff is BS. Nobody does that in the professional world. Nobody will allow that. Yeah. So get over this stuff and learn to do it right, and it's going to make a huge difference. All right. So, Will, you are here. Why don't you come online and let's talk with you, because I didn't have time to get to you last time. I'm sorry. All right. So go for it, man. What would you like to talk about?
Well, so on this thing about framing and framing an authority equals trust, the thing that always stands out to me, especially like Ricky just said with you, there is no doubt in my mind that you are on authority, and people like to follow authority. We like to know that we're in safe hands. Right. So just as my little comment, if somebody spends ages trying to rapport build with me, I'm like, well, that's great, but I can rapport build with anybody. I'm here because you have an expertise that I'm clearly reaching out for. That's what I'm looking for. So just as kind of my comment on it, that would be.
So let me just say one other thing about what you're saying. So here's the thing, when you're thinking about the frame and the authority, you know, you don't have to be a fake authority. In fact, you can't, or the trust part will be gone. What you have to do is just narrow the frame some, so that where you are an authority, you're stepping into that position and really working with it. It works marvelously. It works so well, it's not even funny. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Would you like us to demonstrate with you?
Oh yes, please.
What would you like? You,
So could we do, so if we're doing a role play, I've kind of thought of a slightly different scenario to get me more of an emotional response that I can then feed back to you, hopefully. So if we do a role play where you are selling some kind of money management system. So in other words, I'm a customer, my finances are a little bit all over the place, I'm getting a bit sick of it, and you sell a way of teaching people how to budget, manage their money, and just get everything the way it should be.
sure, let's start. So, Will, what made you set the appointment to talk with me today? I mean, why today?
Well, because I've seen some reviews of your program online, and people have said that it's really good. It's made a huge difference, and I need to get this area under control. Just
When you say huge difference, what are you referring to?
So people just saying that all of a sudden they seem to have this disposable income available, because I think it's kind of like me, just money seems to be going all over the place. And they've just said that you help people kind of work out what's going where, what needs to be cut out, and it just leaves them in a better position. And that's what I need.
Yeah. I can tell you that not everybody that goes through this finds a lot of extra money, but they sure as heck know where what they have is going.
Right.
That we're kind of seeing that play out in the in areas of government right now as well. I mean, the bottom line is, if you don't know where it's going, how do you manage it? That's really the point, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, what's important about you managing that better?
Well, I think I've just got a bit. It's always just been a little bit chaotic, and I've basically kind of got to the stage when I'm like, I need to have a better handle on this than I should do. I have a partner, that relationship's developing. I need to be able to provide, and it's something I kind of bury my head in the sand and I don't really look at properly.
So you want to provide because you are starting a relationship, or you have a relationship, and it sounds like it's leading somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. This is something I need to be more like grounded and just in a better position financially.
Perfect. So has there ever been a time, and I imagine there has been, when you felt grounded, even for a moment? What's that reference experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I had a job a few years ago. I was earning more than I did now. I was able to kind of budget things properly, and I felt in control. Like, oh, actually, I've got this extra money that, whereas before I'm like, where the hell is it all going? It wasn't vanishing into a black hole. I just wasn't managing it properly, and I managed to get some kind of stability and be like, oh, I feel in a much like better position now.
So, Will, from within that experience, what are you aware of?
Just how much, well, I guess just how much like better I feel when I know I've got some kind of control over things, when I'm taking responsibility for it. It feels so much better than just saying, oh, things are a bit of a mess, I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm not going to look at it.
So let's go to that job. Let's go to that time when you absolutely knew that things were better. It is a reference experience in your mind that you brought up. Let's go to that time. Tell me about it, from as if you're within that experience.
Oh yeah, well, I remember it was this kind of night and day thing. So a friend of mine had said, or if you want to sort of get the best handle on your money, go and use this budgeting thing. And I kind of went through it, all my expenses, all my income, all my outgoings. And I looked at the end and I was like, okay, based on, like, numbers don't lie. And based on money, I should have X amount left at the end of the month. And I then sort of realized the reason I don't is because I'm spending without realizing, because I don't have a structure and a plan that I'm following. And as soon as I did that, my relationship with money kind of changed overnight. It was no longer just spend on this and spend on this and spend on this. It was, here's my money. Here's what I want it to do. I can decide where to allocate it.
So the structure makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So now let's just stop for a moment. I'm within about 10 minutes of completing this whole thing and selling you whatever I want at most. But let me just ask you this. What do you feel? You asked me to do something that would give you a reference of how you felt. So tell me how you feel.
Right now, I feel great. It's like I'm back there. Like I remember where I was sitting, what I was doing.
Listen to his words. Listen to your words, Will. You're back there where you were sitting. And I said to you, from within that experience, tell me what you're aware of now. So I'm very much putting you in that experience. And now you're even telling me, you're referring to where you were sitting, how you feel. That's infinitely leverageable on my part. Ricky, do you want to comment on that?
No, it was very powerful. Like I was tracking as Will was talking, and just making sure that I was hearing the things that you teach upon. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself.
Good. Yes. So what we did, for those people that don't know yet, is I immediately got him into the frame I wanted him to be in by asking him about why he called. There was no bullshit. There was no, there was no small talk. How's it going over there? What are you in the UK, Will? I mean, what's going on? There's nothing that would indicate I'm some sleazy salesperson trying to talk about what will gain me rapport. I have it. The trust was instant. Why? Because I set the frame and I have the authority. So then I elicited whatever the leverage was that you offered me. Okay? So I had to listen a little bit for that, but once I got it, I elicited it and away we go. All right. Then I shifted you. Well, we can go more and more through that, but the shift was profound because it makes that emotion infinitely leverageable.
And one thing I'll add to the people listening, if you don't understand the power of time shifting, go back and reference one of the videos from the free course. I can't remember which one it was, but I think maybe number 6 or 7. But it's back there.
Absolutely, and maybe we can show that URL for the Facebook group. All of the 7 lessons are there for free. There we go. All right.
And just one more thing for me, because I knew I was coming on today, so I'd kind of cooked up this scenario, earlier today. There was something in my mind, which was, kind of a brief sob story that I'm like, well, I could go to this thing about how frustrating the whole situation is and how embarrassing it is to be at my age and still not have a handle on it. So I was prepared to go there without even realizing that you'd shifted me to the positive. It completely dropped out of my head. And I was planning to say it. And that just goes to show the power of framing and shifting, because I was going to throw that in there. I'd rehearsed it and it just went from my mind as soon as you started leading me somewhere.
And Will, you bring up a really good point. I don't allow negative or pain-based selling. It just does. It's not needed. Everybody so I wrote an article again on the Facebook group if you want to go read it. But there's 2 things to consider. There's leverage and there's what I call spew. Okay, spew is that thing where salespeople think they need to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I don't. I elicit the leverage. With the leverage, I have all I need to move you forward, to move you through the process. That leverage is not based on pain. I heard the pain you mentioned. You were trying to say it. I heard you, but I didn't let you. I went to the positive, and that's why I did it. Right. Okay, is so that you couldn't go there, and you didn't go there, even though you'd rehearsed going there, like you just said. Right. That's one of the power of this system. of no pain sales. Listen, if anybody watching this thinks that you still need to use pain, you don't. You have 1,000 times more leverage by staying to the positive. You don't elicit the inhibitory bias, which causes someone to crash, to fight, flight, or freeze. They crash. It releases neurochemicals that don't let them move away from that position. So now what are you going to do? I have a guy that, he does very high level sales. He is the leader in his company. It just has sold two $80,000 self-development sales, but it often takes him 2 or 3 or 4 hours because he elicits the pain, makes him cry. Listen, I've told him you can do this in easily about 30 minutes. There's no need to go any further. So, but it's a matter of learning this system and implementing it. And he is now. So I can't wait to see how he does once he does. But people that are, been in this process for a long time, they're scared sometimes. And that's why I think working with me one-on-one fixes that problem. It just takes away any kind of fear. It shows you how to do it right in the field that you're working in. All right. Will, thank you. Anything else quick you want to say?
Just final thing for me about that point that you just made. Obviously, it was a role play, but I use things that are real. And like I said, I'd been prepared to go to the pain. Emotionally, the experience of just being taken to the positive was so much better because that pain wouldn't have helped. So I get that people might be nervous about shifting, but I can tell you from being on the other side, it felt really good just to be swept along in a positive thing. So that's it for me. It's just that point.
Good. Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on. And I want to invite any of you from here on out, if you'd like to come on, and I'll role play with you. I'll help you. And so we'll see you, Will, and we'll really appreciate you coming on. Ricky, I think what we've gone over today is so very powerful. It starts with the frame, and it starts with the authority. And it does not have to be pushy or arrogant. It doesn't have to talk about how the call is going to go today. I mean, it still blows me away that big consultants are still teaching their people how to do this nonsense.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, that's like, like the guy you was just referencing, having these long calls. I used to be that guy, right? Having people cry and, and feel like I'm doing a good job. When in fact I was feeling horrible about that. That's just not me as a person. I don't like making people cry. I like making people feel good and all these other kind of things. So not only has my time call dramatically been cut, probably by more than half. I mean, I can do the whole process, actually enroll the client and what I'm doing and everything in probably about 30, 40 minutes tops.
That's
This
it.
is a sales process, taking payment, getting them into the system, showing them what to do, like all of that stuff. Where before it was just just a discovery part of the process. It is what it's called in the high ticket space, right? There's a certain
Right.
discovery process.
Right. And you know what? Why? Because they don't know how to really get it. So they're having to go around Robin Hood's barn trying to figure out this discovery process. And what do you think that does to the client? Are clients stupid?
No, and whenever you're talking to a sophisticated buyer, and they know that you're trying to elicit their problem. They know you're trying to dig into the pain. They've been through that time and time again. And as soon as they spot that, I think their trust meter. Today's been talking about trust. I think their trust in us goes down quite significantly whenever they identify that we're trying to poke and prod their pain.
How many times do we have to have a sales conversation with somebody as a client and cry and weep and and feel like a failure? I mean, it gets old real quick, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, even back when I was in the hearing aid space, like, right? I mean, my receptionist, whenever
people will leave. She was like, why was they crying? And, it's because I put them there. Right. And then sometimes they were tears of joy and all that stuff, because they were hearing what things they hadn't before, or at least in a long time. But a lot of times it was them crying because, I got them to see how crappy their life is with not having the solution that we provided.
Yes, of course. So think of it this way. As your market gains sophistication, so too does your selling ability,
Mhm.
or you get left behind.
Mhm.
You look like nothing but a used car salesman. Not you, Ricky, because you
Yeah.
know, but that's what happens. So we have to constantly stay ahead of our market. That's what this does for you. No more digging into pain, no more making people weep. None of that.
Yeah.
How fascinating would that be to feel good at the end of your day instead of literally wiped out? I'm telling you, I burned out numerous times in my life because I would talk to so many people and tried so hard to bring the negative to bear. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now it's just pure joy for me. And I'd
Yep.
like that to be for each of you that are listening. It can be that way, and it takes less time, and it's more powerful. You get more leverage. It's better. All right, Ricky, let's bring it to an end. Great talking with you today. And
Yeah, you as
again,
well.
for anybody that wants us to demonstrate, please come on, and we'll be happy to do it. All right, talk to you all real soon.
See you, Kenneth.